What if your life was never meant to feel this strange, this flat? What if your days weren't broken, but bent? The Pleiadian being known as Caylin brings a quiet truth forward now. We are seeing a distorted version of reality, not because we're unworthy, but because we've been shown the same illusion for so long that it became invisible, like glass smeared with old fingerprints. We stopped noticing the smudge. But your soul has started asking deeper questions. That flicker of unrest, that subtle ache, it means your eyes are starting to remember what your heart never forgot. The moment you agreed to forget everything. Before you were born, something remarkable happened. Not just the forming of a body, but the soft agreement of your soul to forget, to fall into the veil. It wasn't punishment, it was purpose. Because only by forgetting could you rediscover your true sight and learn how to trust it again. That agreement wasn't forced, it was sacred. You looked at Earth, at this dense plane, and said yes. Yes to confusion, yes to separation, yes to the long road back home. It's a strange kind of bravery, isn't it? Saying yes to pain in the hope that love would find its way through it. This forgetting didn't happen all at once. It was layered. The moment you took your first breath, the silence started. And over the years, the noise of the world got louder, teaching you names, rules, limits. And that silence inside, it became the place your soul whispered from, waiting for you to remember again. Sometimes you remember in flashes. You walk into a room and feel like you've been there before. You see a stranger and feel something stir. Or maybe it's that feeling you get right before you fall asleep. Like something is missing, but you can't name it. You didn't lose your truth. It just hid beneath the noise. It waited patiently in your laughter, in your heartbreak, in those quiet nights when you stared at the ceiling, wondering why it all felt so hollow. That's not you being broken. That's your original vision trying to reawaken. And isn't it something that forgetting was the first step to seeing clearer than ever before? Your eyes are not lying. Your world is. Your eyes have always been honest. They've picked up the shimmer in the sky, the strange flicker in the corner of the room, the moment when time feels slower, thicker. The problem isn't your vision. It's what's been placed in front of it, like curtains you didn't ask for, drawn across windows you didn't know were there. The world has trained us to mistrust what we see, to call it coincidence, to label it imagination. And slowly that trust, in your own senses, begins to fade. You stop mentioning the strange light. You stop wondering about that shadow. You begin to accept the surface story, even when your gut tightens around it. Caylin once said, "They taught you to fear your own eyes so you'd never see what's behind theirs." That one line lingers. It makes you pause. What are we really looking at each day? Glass screens, fluorescent lights, familiar faces pretending everything's normal. But something inside you knows, this isn't it. This isn't all there is. Have you ever noticed how reality bends slightly when you're still? When you let your gaze soften instead of stare? That's when things slip through. Light in odd places, a shimmer on the floor, a sudden memory that doesn't belong to this life. Your soul is watching through your eyes, but it's the noise of the false world that clouds the lens. And yet, the moment you trust what you see before it's explained to you, something opens. The veil doesn't fall all at once. It lifts like morning mist. You don't see a new world, you feel it emerging from underneath the old one. Reality isn't lying to you. The mask that was placed over it, that's what's breaking. The programmed light that masquerades as truth. Light is sacred, but even light can be twisted, bent just enough to fool the eyes, to wrap lies in something that feels good. That's what this world has become skilled at, covering manipulation in beauty, dressing control as guidance. The light you've been shown hasn't always been the light you deserved. There's a kind of truth that's been engineered to keep you in check, not to destroy you, but to keep you quiet. It looks safe. It speaks softly. It tells you what you want to hear. But when you leave it, you feel emptier than before. That's not light. That's a program. Caylin once described it like this. They give you a candle in a mirror room and tell you the sun doesn't exist. That line stopped me. Because you see, the world feeds you reflection after reflection. Ads that glow. People who shine with surface success. Quotes that soothe without stirring. But beneath all that is a very different light trying to reach you. You've felt it in nature, in the ocean, in the eyes of someone who saw you before you spoke. That light doesn't ask for attention. It doesn't sell itself. It reveals. And when it touches you, even for a second, it changes everything. You begin to realize how dim the other light really was. Not all spiritual teachings are clean. Some were built to loop you in circles. Even healing can become a trap when it never leads to freedom. That's how deep this false light runs. It wears every costume. And only the heart can tell the difference. So here's a thought to carry. The real light won't compete for your gaze. It will wait until you remember how to feel again. Caylin's first signal, the fabric is tearing. It didn't start with a bang. It started with strange days, with birds acting oddly, with numbers showing up over and over, with electronics glitching for no reason, with dreams that lingered like smoke even after coffee. That's when Caylin sent the first signal. The veil is thinning. The projection is faltering. You might have felt it as disorientation, moments of déjà vu, time folding in on itself. You look at the clock, and something's off. Not the numbers, but the feel. It's like the rhythm is breaking, like the story you were told is skipping scenes. That's not your imagination. That's the programmed fabric struggling to hold. You are a witness now to a world that is glitching, because your soul is vibrating at a frequency the old system can't stabilize. It's like trying to keep an ocean inside a glass jar. Eventually, the jar cracks. This tearing isn't dangerous, it's divine. It means you're getting closer. Your vibration is pulling you toward a version of Earth that exists beyond fear, beyond repetition, beyond artificial roles. But of course, as it tears, the noise gets louder. The illusion will scream before it dies. So how do you move through this tearing? Gently, curiously, with presence. Don't fight it. Don't rush it. Just watch the pieces fall. Let the false things collapse. Let the hollow relationships reveal themselves. Let the timelines split because they must. And maybe that subtle chaos you've been feeling isn't the world falling apart, but the unreal world letting go. Why the real world feels like a dream. Have you noticed it? That eerie stillness beneath your everyday life? Like the trees are watching. Like the buildings don't quite settle right. Like time is passing but not moving. It's disorienting, yet oddly familiar. That's because the world you're sensing, the one beneath all this, is the real one. And it doesn't run on the same rules. In dreams, we accept the impossible. We fly. We shift shape. We meet people who know us before we speak. Then we wake up and call all of it nonsense. But what if waking life is the real dream? What if we're actually inside a collective spell, so well rehearsed that we forgot it was even a performance? Caylin once said, "You're walking through a dream someone else wrote, until you start remembering your own script." that moment, that line, makes you wonder who's been writing your days. Who decided 9 to 5 was normal? Who taught you that wonder is childish? That rest is laziness? That questions are dangerous? The truth is, the real world doesn't feel like this. It's softer. It listens back. It bends with your intention. It doesn't force. It invites. But to reach it, you must unhook from the false waking dream. You must be willing to feel strange, even lonely, until your soul adjusts to the quiet beauty that lives underneath this noise. And yes, it will feel like madness at first, but that's just your inner compass calibrating to truth. Perhaps the reason life has felt like a fog is because you've been seeing it from inside someone else's sleep. If everything around you is part of a dream, then what exactly are you waking into? Ahead in this video, we'll step into the space between worlds, where two realities overlap. We'll see how truth hides in your hesitation, how invisible frequencies bend your path, and why that tug in your chest might not be anxiety, but a signal, one that's asking you to listen with your entire being. Because what's coming next will show you how it feels when your soul finally looks out through your real eyes. You're not lost. You're between realities. There's a moment, maybe you've felt it, when you don't quite belong anywhere, like the old world has slipped through your fingers, but the new one hasn't fully opened its arms yet. You wake up in the middle of the night and everything feels unfamiliar. Not wrong, just unfinished. You're not lost, you're just between realities. Caylin calls this the void between dreams. It's a strange place, really. Things feel slow but overwhelming. You forget simple words. You stare at objects and they feel unfamiliar. You might even question your own sanity. But this in-between space, it's sacred. It's where identities begin to dissolve and truth starts to take root. What makes this phase hard is the silence. You're not getting loud guidance. People around you don't understand. The world wants you to keep performing, but your soul is somewhere else, floating just ahead, waiting for your mind to catch up. This isn't confusion, it's transition. This space isn't meant to be figured out, it's meant to be felt. And that can be deeply uncomfortable, because we've been trained to move fast, to solve, to know. But soul work, it moves like fog. It asks you to pause, to soften, to allow. Between realities, you will feel things fall away. Friends, beliefs, habits, they may leave suddenly or quietly fade. Don't chase them, don't panic. The space they leave behind is where your new reality begins to bloom. You are not broken or behind. You are simply standing at the edge of the old, and the whisper of what's real is just beginning to reach you. The trap of consensus reality and mass belief. We're born into a world already filled with stories. What success means, what time is, what's real and what isn't. These beliefs aren't chosen. They're handed to us. And before we know it, we're living inside a giant agreement made by people who never asked their own hearts first. Consensus reality is powerful, not because it's true, but because so many people feed it. It creates a web, a shared dream, where questioning the rules feels dangerous. You want to belong, so you play along. Smile at the wrong things. Stay silent in the face of truth. All so you don't break the illusion for others. But here's the twist. Reality doesn't shift by force. It shifts by withdrawal of belief. The moment you stop feeding a story, it starts to fade. Have you noticed how certain lies begin to dissolve when you stop repeating them, even in your own head? Caylin reminds us that mass belief is magnetic. The more people agree, the more gravity it holds. But that gravity isn't natural. It's designed. It keeps the old world spinning. That's why waking up feels lonely at first. Because you're stepping out of gravity and learning to float until something truer catches you. You're not crazy for questioning what everyone else accepts. In fact, that's how every new reality begins. With one person willing to say, "This doesn't feel right anymore." And maybe the real rebellion is choosing to believe what feels real, even when it isn't popular. What they didn't want you to perceive. There's a reason they distract you with noise, with news, with endless updates. It's not just to keep you busy. It's to keep you blind to something much quieter and far more dangerous to their illusion. Your perception. You were born with a sensitivity, a gift to see between. But over time, it was dulled, tamed, labeled as imagination. But that sense, that deep feeling that there's more behind the curtain, that's not a glitch. That's your superpower. Caylin says they fear perception more than protest, because when you perceive clearly, you stop needing permission. You see through the charade. You stop buying what they're selling, and you start to radiate something that can't be controlled. What they didn't want you to perceive was this. Your thoughts are not entirely your own. Your memories have been edited. Your desires have been shaped. Not all the way, just enough to keep you playing the role you were given. But the script is fragile, and the more you perceive from the inside, the faster it crumbles. It starts in small moments, a sudden chill when you hear a lie, a surge of light when you speak your truth. Perception isn't dramatic, it's precise. It's the subtle knowing that the most powerful things can't be seen, but they can be felt. The frequency, split, happening behind your life. There's something happening beneath all this, something the news won't report. Frequencies are splitting, realities are diverging. And though the buildings look the same, and the calendar hasn't changed, the energy of this world is no longer unified. Caylin calls it the quiet divide. You might have felt it, like standing in the same room with someone, but not being in the same world. One of you is still inside the program, the other is beginning to see through it. And the gap between those two states, it's growing. This isn't a war in the traditional sense. There are no armies, no announcements, just quiet decisions being made in every soul, to stay asleep, or to stretch towards something unknown, and each decision creates a frequency. And those frequencies, they're sorting themselves now. This is why you might feel distant from people you once loved, or why certain places feel heavy now. It's not judgment, it's resonance. And resonance doesn't lie. You're not better, they're not worse. You're simply vibrating in different directions. The split isn't punishment, it's precision. The universe is aligning each of us with the version of Earth we're choosing, moment by moment, thought by thought, truth by truth. And at some point, the overlap will end. The invisible wall that keeps you small. You've probably hit it before. That strange resistance. You get inspired, then tired. You feel free, then suddenly guilty. You begin to speak truth, and your voice catches in your throat. That's the wall. The invisible wall that was never built of bricks, but of beliefs. This wall isn't outside. It's made of every message you absorbed growing up. Be realistic. Don't be too much. You're dreaming. You're not enough. Over time, these voices become architecture. And even as you awaken, you keep bumping into the edges of a structure you never agreed to build. Caylin describes it as a frequency cage, woven through emotion and memory, not to keep you physically trapped, but to convince you that freedom isn't possible. And when you believe that, you stop trying, you shrink, you settle. The hardest part? The wall feels personal. It sounds like your own thoughts. That's how deep the programming goes. But if you pause long enough, you'll realize that voice isn't yours. It's a chorus of echoes from people who are afraid of their own light. Tear down the wall? No. Just see it, witness it, and something miraculous happens. The illusion starts to flicker, because the wall can't survive your attention. It feeds on your silence. And one day, you'll walk straight through it, not with force, but with the quiet knowing. This space was never mine to begin with. Now, if all of this is true, if the wall is fake, the frequencies are splitting, and reality itself is folding, then what is left to trust? Coming up next, we'll enter the space of pure soul vision, where you begin to see not just with eyes, but with memory, vibration, and love. You'll understand why your darkest moments may have been your clearest transmissions, and how your soul has always been trying to show you the world behind the world. When your soul starts seeing without eyes, there comes a moment, quiet and subtle, when you begin to know things you never learned. You don't see it with your eyes, but it's there. A shift, a recognition, as if something inside you is watching everything unfold from a higher place, not judging, just deeply understanding. That's soul vision, and it doesn't rely on sight at all. Soul vision shows up in strange ways. You walk into a room and feel truth before anyone speaks. You hear someone laugh and instantly sense the sadness behind it. Or maybe you look at someone and feel like you've known them across lifetimes. That's not guessing. That's remembering. Caylin reminds us, your soul has never been blind. Your body may be limited, yes, but your essence, it sees through time, through symbols, through vibrations. It's why you feel drained around certain people, or why your body tenses at a decision before your mind has processed it. The soul doesn't wait for logic. It moves through resonance. This kind of vision can't be trained like reading a book. It awakens through experience, through heartbreak, through stillness, through those unexplainable moments when something clicks. You don't know why, but you know you're right. That's your soul, confirming what your eyes can't yet prove. And here's the beauty of it. Once soul vision activates, the world begins to reveal itself differently. Patterns emerge, conversations feel layered. The most ordinary days start to feel like pages from a script written long ago. You begin to witness, instead of just seeing, the pain that comes before true vision. Truth doesn't arrive gently. It shakes. It breaks. It pulls the floor out from under everything you thought was stable. And yet, pain often comes first, not as punishment, but as permission. It opens your vision, rips the veil. Pain makes you see what comfort kept hidden. There's a strange quiet in real suffering, not the kind that screams, but the kind that lingers in the spaces between conversations, in the long pauses after someone says, "I'm fine." This pain, it clears the fog. It leaves you raw enough to finally feel the truth beneath all the noise. Caylin once shared this. The false world numbs you. The real one will hurt before it heals. It lands like a stone. Because we keep asking why awakening is so lonely, why truth feels like a burden, why things fall apart when we begin to see. It's not cruelty, it's cleansing. You can't see the stars through a painted ceiling, and you can't see truth through layers of denial. Pain peels those layers back. It doesn't need your approval. It only needs your honesty. That's the price and the gift. You don't just awaken, you unbecome. And in the middle of that ache, when the world looks shattered and you're unsure what's real, that's when your soul's vision is strongest. It speaks not in solutions, but in a calm knowing. this needed to fall. Your intuition isn't confused. It's breaking through. You've probably doubted it, that inner voice, ignored it, talked yourself out of what you knew. It's okay, we all have. But let me tell you something. Intuition doesn't stutter. It whispers, it nudges. And when you don't listen, it doesn't go silent. It just gets louder in other ways. That discomfort in your stomach, that strange resistance to a good opportunity, that tug that says wait when everyone else says go, that's not anxiety. That's not fear. That's your intuition fighting through the static, not to scare you, but to steer you toward a version of reality where you belong. Caylin says the most manipulated frequency on Earth is instinct. We've been trained to override it, to obey logic, to fit in. But deep intuition doesn't care about fitting. It cares about alignment. It tells you when something is off, even if it's beautiful, even if it's loved by everyone else. Confusion doesn't mean your intuition is wrong. It means the outer world is feeding you too many conflicting signals. That's why silence is sacred, why stillness is medicine. It's in those quiet moments that your truth stops being drowned out and starts humming clearly again. You don't need to make it perfect. You just need to listen without arguing, without explaining it away, without asking others to validate it. Your intuition isn't here to convince, it's here to protect. This isn't the life you chose, yet. Ever feel like you're walking through someone else's script? Like this life doesn't quite fit, no matter how hard you try to make it work? That's not failure, that's clarity, because the life you're living may not be the one your soul actually chose. You came here with a blueprint, not a rigid plan, but a resonance, a feeling, a direction. But over time, that original path got buried, under survival, under expectations, under well-meaning people who told you what success should look like. And slowly, you drifted from your design. Caylin says your true life pulses underneath the one you were given. It's not gone. It's just waiting. Waiting for your permission to rise, to be remembered, to be honored, even in small steps. It doesn't need a grand awakening, just your honesty. This isn't it, not yet. You'll know you're close when time feels different, when effort feels like flow, when your body stops resisting and your breath deepens for no reason. That's how the soul whispers, this feels right. And when it doesn't, that's also guidance. This isn't a message of despair. It's a reminder of choice. You are not bound to the path you woke up on. You can pivot. You can soften. You can ask, what was I here to feel, to build, to remember? And slowly, the answers arrive. The code hidden in your boredom and apathy. It's easy to overlook. That dull feeling, that sense of disconnection. We call it boredom. We shrug it off, scroll past it. But boredom isn't empty. It's a message. And apathy, that numbness, it's a signal, one that something vital inside you is being blocked. You weren't born to feel meh about life, that heaviness, that disinterest. It's not laziness, it's resistance. Your soul is resisting a false engagement, a routine that no longer serves, a version of yourself that doesn't align. That's why nothing feels meaningful, because the wrong reality doesn't feed your inner fire. Caylin refers to this as code collapse. When the programs that once held your attention begin to break down, it feels like emptiness. But beneath that emptiness is a spark, waiting. You're not broken, you're just disengaging from illusion. When you start noticing boredom, don't rush to fill it. Sit with it. It may whisper something deeper. It might say, this isn't your path, or you've outgrown this loop. Or maybe it won't say anything. just offer a silence that holds more truth than any noise ever could. Apathy isn't the end, it's the beginning of deep honesty. It strips away the false desires, the second-hand dreams. It makes space for what's real to finally speak. And sometimes, the most sacred callings come wrapped in a silence we tried to ignore. Reality, glitches and the cracks in the illusion. Have you ever had a moment that didn't fit? A second where time felt off, where people moved too slow, or your surroundings looked staged? A dream that felt more real than your waking life, or objects vanishing, reappearing, shifting. These aren't random glitches. These are tears in the veil. Caylin calls them alignment fractures. They happen when your consciousness briefly outpaces the matrix holding your current timeline. You catch glimpses, fragments, overlaps. It's like the illusion stutters just for a beat, and your soul steps forward through the pause to say, "See, this isn't as solid as you think." You might think you're imagining it, that your memory is playing tricks. But what if the opposite is true? What if your memory is finally accurate, and the reality you're waking into is the lie? The glitch isn't a malfunction, it's a message, a breadcrumb, and your awareness of it means you're walking closer to truth. What's wild is how ordinary these moments can seem. A street sign you swear wasn't there before, a person saying something they have no way of knowing, a flicker in a mirror. We dismiss them, but they are the openings, the edges where the false reality thins and the true one bleeds through. Don't be afraid of the cracks. Don't patch them. Observe them. Breathe into them. They're your proof that the cage isn't made of steel. It's made of story. And sometimes the story glitches just enough for you to slip out of the frame.